Hello and welcome to White Hare Investigations. I'm your host, Anna Rucco. The abandoned mail cart letters and what they may mean. This abandoned mail cart is only found in story mode as early as April of 1899. However, it is not found in online mode, which is 1898. The mail cart contains 5 undelivered letters. The letters are undelivered and seem to date to the present game time. But let's see if they do. Letter to Henrietta Douglas. Letter to Henrietta Douglas from Jacob Sears. From New York City to Henrietta Douglas, Tumbleweed. Miss Douglas, it is with great sadness I write to inform you of the death of your husband. You may have read in the newspaper about the tragic fire that occurred at the Whitehorn Hotel here. As residents gathered to watch the St. Ignatius Day Parade, a few people began to cry out as smoke emerged from windows on the second floor of the hotel. Within 30 minutes, the entire building was engulfed in flames and those on the upper floors were trapped. Your husband's body was recovered the next day amidst the rubble. We are working with the local coroner to prepare his body for shipment to you. Please write back at this address on the envelope. With sincere sorrow, Jacob Sears. Points of interest: Henrietta Douglas, Tumbleweed, New York City, Whitehorn Hotel, St. Ignatius Day Parade, and Jacob Sears. I couldn't find Henrietta Douglas in the game or any mention of her anywhere other than the letter. I did, however, find some interesting info about a real one. Lady Henrietta Douglas was born 1633. She was the daughter of William Douglas, the first Marquis of Douglas, and Lady Mary Gordon. A contract for the marriage of Lady Henrietta Douglas and James Johnson, the first Earl of Annandale and Hartwell, was signed on May the 29th, 1645. As a result of this marriage, Lady Henrietta Douglas was styled as Countess of Hartwell on October the 1st, 1653. Now, she died June the 1st, 1673. Is this the person the letter is meant for? I don't know, but it is interesting. Tumbleweed. Between 1898 and 1907, Tumbleweed is a town on the decline. The theories for the reasons behind this include the lack of a railway in the town and harassment from a group of local bandits called the Del Lobo Gang, compounded by various epidemics afflicting the citizens of New Austin. As the main settlement in New Austin, Tumbleweed has a saloon, a general store, a gunsmith, which has a bath and room to rent, a butcher, and a stable. New York City, Whitehorn Hotel. I think the hotel in the letter was based on the Windsor Hotel fire in New York City. The Windsor Hotel in Manhattan. The Windsor Hotel was located at 575 Fifth Avenue at the corner of East 47th Street in Manhattan, New York. The 7-story hotel opened in 1873 at a time when hotel residency was becoming popular with the wealthy. It burned down in 1899 with almost 90 people losing their lives. On St. Patrick's Day, March 17, 1899, while people were gathering below to watch the parade, a fire destroyed the hotel within 90 minutes. Supposedly, the fire started when someone threw an unextinguished match out of a second-floor window and the wind blew it against the lace curtains. The Windsor Hotel fire was the inspiration for John Killen, who later became fire chief but was a lieutenant in 1899, to become one of the most forceful advocates of a high-pressure hydrant system in New York, which was finally installed in 1907. The bodies of 31 of the unidentified victims were buried in Kensico Cemetery in Valhalla, New York. St. Ignatius Day Parade. St. Ignatius. Birth was 1491. Death was July 31st, 1556 at the age of 64. He was beatified July 27th at 1609 by Paul V, canonized March 12, 1622 by George XV. He is celebrated every year on July 31st by holding a feast. I think the day in the letter is actually St. Patrick's Day, since it mentions a parade and not a feast. His date of canonization was used to line the parade and the saint up to almost match. St. Ignatius Feast, St. Patrick Day Parade. So they just took the St. Ignatius from the feast and the day parade from St. Patrick and combined them to create St. Ignatius Day Parade. Jacob Sears. In 1899, Jacob Sears was a trustee and treasurer of the Jacob Sears Memorial Library he helped fund to build. The first library services were provided in East Dennis by a private lending association founded in 1866. Jacob Sears, a long-life resident of East Dennis, gave funding for the construction and endowment of this library building, which was completed in 1895 to a design by the Boston firm of Rand and Taylor. Hypothesis. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Mr. Douglas was in New York staying at the hotel when the fire started on March 17, 1899. Letter to Judge Finley. Letter to Judge Finley from Gertrude Eastwell. Judge Finley, Dear Sir, Your Honor, you will pardon me for addressing you. However, I am very ill, so much so that I am not in a condition to attend my trial. If it would please Your Honor, I would like you to send me to the poor farm or send me my release. I am the unfortunate victim of the morphine habit. Judge, Your Honor, you have discharged me on more than one occasion, and by doing so have exhibited great kindness. If you do so again, I promise I will go away and be a good girl in the future. Yours obediently, Gertrude Eastwell. Points of interest. Judge Finley, Gertrude Eastwell. Judge Finley. So I started my search in St. Denis, which is patterned after New Orleans. St. Denis is the home of the Supreme Court of Lemoyne, mirroring how the Supreme Court of Louisiana is actually located in New Orleans. Now, Louisiana Supreme Court judges in 1899. You got Francis T. Nicholas, who served 1892 to 1904 as Chief Justice. Lynn Boyd Watkins, who served 1886 to 1901 as Associate Justice. Henry Carlton Miller, who served 1894 to 1899 as Associate Justice, and Newton Crane Blanchard, who served 1897 to 1903 as Associate Justice. When I didn't find a match there, I turned my attention to the courthouse in Blackwater, which is patterned after the real Blackwater in Missouri. There was Asa Finley, first elected judge of Arrow Rock, Missouri in 1824. Now, Arrow Rock, Missouri is only 8.5 miles from Blackwater, Missouri. Then there's James Finley, aka Judge James Finley, is widely recognized as the first designer and builder of the modern suspension bridge. From 1791 until his death, he was an associate judge for Fayette County, Pennsylvania. Gertrude Eastwell. Birth, 1860. Birthplace, Sewham, Cambridgeshire. Gertrude Eastwell is listed as a seller at Eastwell Park, Ashford, on January 1905 for Lord Gerard's Herd, Lot 23. This is the only Gertrude Eastwell I could find that fit the time period. The only Gertrude in the game I could find was Gertrude Braithwaite, the crazy girl in the outhouse. Hypothesis. Gertrude Eastwell, whose maiden name was Gertrude Braithwaite, was married off to Mr. Eastwell. She was not pleased over this marriage and developed an extreme morphine habit. This led to her getting in trouble multiple times, going insane, and eventually her husband may have abandoned her. To avoid a scandal, family disgrace, her family hid her in the outhouse and wrote the letter on her behalf. They were trying to get Judge Asha Finley, a judge I believe to be in Blackwater, to dismiss the case so they could hide what happened to her and let the family secret just fade away. Is this right? Is this wrong? It's just a theory.